soften the arguing for limitations. That's what we hear from humans all the time. So you consciously and deliberately hold yourself back from your greatest joy, moment by moment by moment. It's sort of like, this is a really bulky way to say it, but it'll be easy to hear. That's like so many people that are wanting to control so many people through religion, and they will tell you, you can't tell while you're here, all of the judgment comes, good and bad, once you've reemerged into non-physical. Well, of course, nothing about that is accurate in any way, because all of that punishment or reward is self-inflicted, and you allow it right here in the moment of your emotions. So the reason that we offer that analogy is because there is no gatekeeper. There's just you letting yourself really be you to the furthest extent that you've allowed yourself to be or not. And it doesn't mean that there are not infinite, non-physical, what you want to call angels and source and well-being that is rooting for you. There is all of that, but there is no gatekeeper. There's no one. There's no gate. There's no gate from which you should be held away from. There's no gate that's open to let you in, and there's no gate that's closed to keep you out. It's just you letting yourself move toward who you really are or not. You are your own gatekeeper. You are your own gate, and you have emotions that let you know about that. And sometimes people feel insecure about that, because there is a certain security that people find from an insecure place that goes like this. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know really for sure what's right or wrong, for sure, because I'm kind of mixed up, because so many people who have tried to guide me have different opinions about what that is. So I really don't know for sure what's right and wrong, but I like the notion that someone really knows, and that if they think I'm doing my best, then they will like my performance, and then I will be rewarded. And so we get it that you want someone to look and judge and evaluate and give you a result. We get how you want that, but there's no gatekeeper. Does it feel to you that the expansion is more a product of your letting go of resistance and letting yourself move toward what was in your vibrational reality or your vortex? Does it feel like you've let go of resistance and moved to what you had already stored up? Or does it feel like you're launching more rockets? And is it beginning to feel to you that as you're launching the rockets, you're right with them as you're launching them? Does it feel to you that you are launching a rocket with less gap between where you are and where you're going, because you've come to expect, you've come to allow, you've come to accept the rightness of you getting to choose? The question that we want to activate for your benefit here in this very leading edge conversation is, as you feel the satisfaction of that new, does it feel to you like somehow you've found a way through understanding of how this all works to give yourself the permission to be unlimited? It's that open-endedness. And because you're there, now you are truly source energy in a 3D world, but don't play down the 3D world, because you're a teacher to the core of your being. And you've come into this leading edge, which does manifest, and to see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. And something that is allowed to manifest fully is a further allowing than something that you've just dreamed. We want you to acknowledge the experience of daydreaming, because there's little or no resistance in it, because there's nothing to do in this moment about it. So you're less likely to have a knee-jerk reaction to something while you're daydreaming than while you're responding to what's happening in the moment. Now, you can drag your resistance into your daydreaming. You can daydream and then kill it with the next thought. But we're talking about that daydreaming for the pleasure of daydreaming. Daydreaming for the pleasure of just allowing your mind to go where it will without resistance. It's the receiving, 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 receiving. It's all receiving, because you've already put it into your vortex. So it's you tuning into what you've put there in a beautiful visual way. The daydreaming activates a vibration, and with enough daydreaming, there's enough active vibration that you've got some real momentum going, while cleaning it up often introduces a resistance and keeps dragging it forward. We've talked a lot about cleaning things up, because when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, and when you know what you do want, you know what you don't want, and we want you to be more deliberate about which way you lean. It's this continuity that we were talking about we're speaking from the physical human perspective, where I've come from and what I've come to believe and the rightness that I've come to accept that I have, and sort of clinging to that rightness even at the expense of not being able to move forward. What if I believe things that don't let me move forward? What if I'm absolutely right about things that won't let me move forward? When you're living life in a deliberate way, and lots of intentions are flowing, and your inner being is embracing them and calling you, then any habits of thought that don't go along with that stick out like sore thumbs. That's sometimes why you justify not taking on a new project or not letting yourself hear the music and go there, because it feels like overwhelmment, because you're putting too much credence in the old way of creating, which is action, and not enough in the new way of creating, which is just putting it on the universe's side of the placemat and then following your inspiration. And so there is value in improving your beliefs about things, but it really sort of kind of is the hard way of going about it. If you can accept that your inner being has the big picture. You see, it took us a while to convince you that your inner being even really existed, because for a long time, your image of what you saw when we talked about inner being was the same image that you had been dragging around about who and what God is. And so you applied all kinds of limitations to that. And so until you know that your inner being exists, and that your inner being is pure positive energy, and that your inner being is out there where your furthest most expansion is, and until you know that, you can't expect to be called toward that. And so if you're still in the attitude of it's all me, then our beginning steps for you is it is you, and your point of attraction matters, and law of attraction is responding, and it's responding to your thoughts. It was a little while before we could help you to even understand that there was another part of you thinking that you were wanting to blend with, you see. And it's also a little tricky territory. Are you with us? It's also a little tricky territory in that we want you to know that you are the creator of your own reality. We're not ever going to say to you, your inner being is the creator of your own reality. But we are going to say to you, your inner being was the creator of your reality in projecting you here. And then your inner being is listening for your discoveries and following your lead once you are here. And so co-creation at its best is you and your inner being, you see. It's important that you get that sort of basis of understanding, and then off you go with powerful, deliberate intent. You are in a time-space reality because it helps you to focus. And most important, because in your awareness of your time and space, you can feel the satisfaction of your motion forward. Without that perspective, it would not be as rich. Wherever you're looking, your perception is dominant. And so if you are in alignment and you are looking into a past experience, your perception sees it through the lens of source. We've teased with you a little bit and said, and so in your connected now, you change your past. Today, we've taken an even more evolved for your advantage stance, in that we say to you, the difference between humans and their inner being is that your inner being doesn't look back. Your inner being is always looking forward. But humans who can't help but look back, we're just asking you, since you're going to look back, you're probably going to look back from your now perspective of connection. Don't look back from your place of not liking where you are and trying to justify or explain why you got in this place you don't want to be. That's not productive at all. That holds you where you don't want to be. Let us explain it to you in a easier way to get your thoughts around. So if you start with the premise that every thought that's ever been thought still exists, and you realize that even before you got here into this body, You were launching rockets of desires. In other words, you were pre-paving even before you got here and knowing about your well-being. What this conversation is taking us to is a conversation we had earlier about the immense number of intentions and beliefs and desires that this atmosphere is rich with. It's what we mean when we say to Esther, it's child's play in relationship to the things that are possible. Because in your desire for well-being, you've put things into the vortex that are underway, and their ability to be translated into realness is only about your ability to perceive them. Because you're slow at doing that, you have a distorted view of reality. You think things have to go really, really slow because as a human race, things have been going really, really slow for one reason and one reason only. You are enamored with what is, so you give most of your attention to what is. So what is just keeps being what is. Different faces, different places, but same experiences over and over and over again. When you catch a whiff of the universe's ability to take your thoughts can instantaneously be transformed into things. It isn't only that someone from the past put it there and you got a thought and another thought and another thought that led you there. There's a lot of that goes on. It is that things can shift in the moment based upon your ability to believe what you are desiring. One day, Jerry and Esther, someone handed them a book, and the book was written by someone who was talking about abundance. And there was an analogy given that once you really get into the vibe of abundance, that it'll start demonstrating to you in lots of ways. And so in this description, pennies would start showing up everywhere. And Jerry and Esther read it, and they were not resistant to the idea of it, but it didn't feel very important to them. They felt in a sort of snobbery sort of way that they were way past that way of understanding creation. They weren't looking to create pennies. But the story captivated their interest just the same. And then the number of pennies that started showing up in their experience became ridiculous. It was like a raining of pennies around them. They were finding 20 and 30 pennies a day in places where they shouldn't have been, where they'd never been before. Esther was actually thinking for a while that Jerry was playing tricks on her, and he was thinking the same of her. In other words, so many weird things with the pennies, because they'd activated in their vibration, and the universe was demonstrating that anything that's active in your vibration can come into your reality if you are amenable to allowing it to be. Well, they're amenable to allowing the universe to create in their experience in any way that they're giving their thoughts, provided it's something wanted. And so they were wide open vessels for the universe to play with joyfully in that way. So this went on for several days, and they're getting on an airplane, and they got onto the airplane, and they're sitting in the bulkhead. They're buckled in. Everything that they own is up overhead because they are on the bulkhead. And they're sitting there, and as the plane is lifting into the air, Esther looked down, and she said to Jerry, "You've got to see this. 2 pennies were standing on their edges." Nothing happens outside the physics characteristics of where you are, because there are laws that rule all things. But there are possibilities within those laws that humans do not allow. So the inertia of the plane, the vibration of the plane in that moment, the weight of the pennies in that moment, and the intentionality of Jerry and Esther to see remarkable things with pennies, they were no longer blah, 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 ho hum about pennies. These pennies had demonstrated something that they thought to be before then an impossible feat. Esther said, "I'm so glad we were together because no one would have believed me." And Jerry said, "No one but me will ever believe you anyway." And Esther said, "Well, it's enough that you were here." All things are possible. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal to inspire within you a desire, if the desire can be born out of this, then the full manifestation of the desire can be born out of this also. If you can dream it, it has to be a reality.